So today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a testimony, and that is how me and my husband met. Um, Not everybody's story is going to be the same, but I'm just hoping that this will help you guys, especially those that are single and are looking for confirmation or wondering about how God can help them. This is my testimony. So when I was about 25, I think it was. So my husband and I knew each other for a long time. And when I was about 25, I started going back to church. I had backslid. I was in the world. And that's another testimony for another time. But I remember that I had a dream and I started visiting his church, and I had been there for about a month. And I had a dream that he was trying to come home with me. I know, right? And in the dream, he wrote me a letter and said that he wanted to take me out on a date and to eat. And I was like, no, I don't want to go out with you. And in the dream, I heard a voice, and I say it was God's voice, right? That told me, don't reject him. In Spanish, don't reject him because he loves you and he's praying for you. And then all of a sudden, I saw his mother and my dad standing side by side next to each other, and they were watching us, and they were going like this. So I told him the dream, and he was like, I don't know what that means. I can't tell you. I have to be careful. I'm a minister. So he didn't want to tell me the dream. And I remember telling someone else the dream, and that person was like, I think he likes you. I think he's into you, and he's just afraid to tell you. So I told God, I was like, you know what? It had already been a month after I had the dream, after I told him, and he still hadn't told me anything. And I'm still, trying to get my walk right with Christ. And I had a lot of guys that were after me, and I had a lot of temptation as well. I had a lot of emotional issues as well. But I remember telling God, I'm like, if he doesn't tell me within, by the end of this weekend, it was a Friday. I was like, if he doesn't tell me by the end of the weekend, then I'm just gonna go ahead and go on a date with someone else. And I was actually planning to go to Florida to see someone else over there. So then that was a Friday night. And I remember telling God, I'm like, God, if this is the person that you have for me, I don't want to be unfaithful to that person, right? So I need you to talk to me. And I also told God, I said, confirm it to his mom, because I knew that his mom was like, she was the pastor of the church, and I knew that she was very jealous of her son. And I didn't, here I am, this crazy wild party girl, coming into a church to be with a guy possibly that really hadn't experienced the world like that, right? And he was a serious guy. So that was Friday night. Sunday night, it was about 11 o'clock at night. I kid you not. He calls me and he's like, I don't know if you've realized that, I'm attracted to you. As soon as he said that, I just it took my breath away. He was like, but I like you and I want to be with you. And his exact words was like, I don't want to be with you as a girlfriend. I want to be with you so that I can marry you. Like, I'm serious. I don't care who you've been with. And that's another thing that I had told God. I'm like, if he really wants to be with me, I need him to tell me that he doesn't care about my past, because I did, and I do have a past. And that was his exact words. He's like, I don't care about your past. I don't care about you, who you've been with. You're a new creature in Christ. And that's all I care about now. So I started crying, and he was like, I was home, and my mom tells me, his mom, right? The same thing I had told God. And I had told God, if she's a woman of God, if she really knows you, you're going to reveal it to her, because I don't want her attacking me. I don't want nobody telling me I'm trying to make this man of God fall. And so that's exactly how it happened. He tells me, I was talking to my mom, and my mom tells me, I know who you like, and you have to tell her, because if you don't tell her, the enemy is going to get in the way. And so he came and he told me. And then from there on out, I canceled my trip to Florida, and I changed my number and I got rid of all connections to anyone that could have gotten in contact with me. So that's my testimony, right? So I share this with you guys because I am a firm believer that if you put God first in everything, he is going to answer your prayers according to his perfect will in your life. The man that I married is not the man that I would have chosen for myself. When I was in the world before I got with him, I went after guys that, were appealing to me, or that had characteristics, according to what I thought that I needed, or according to what I thought that I wanted. But the reality is that I didn't know what I wanted, or I didn't know what I needed myself, right? Because what you need is not really always what you want, and what you want is definitely not always what you need. And we're going now on, I think it's 12 years of marriage, and it's been a crazy ride. And it's been, it's been tough. It's had its ups and its downs. And one of the things that my husband always says, the best part of being married is that you get to share your life with someone else. And the worst part of being married is also that you get to share your life with someone else, because it's we're both raised in the Bronx, right? He was raised in Puerto Rico. I was born in Puerto Rico, raised in the Bronx. He was born in the Bronx and raised in Puerto Rico. And we're both Christian, but we come from two different worlds. And so when you get married, it's two different lifestyles, two different people trying to come together as one to make one new life, right? So there's a lot of compromising that has to get done, a lot of, bending, and a lot of sacrificing, and a lot of talking through your emotions and being vulnerable with one another. And that'll be a different topic for a different day. But I just want you to know that if you're single and if you're feeling like, God has nobody for you, he does. You just really need to. One book that I read that I really loved was Boundaries in Dating. And it was such a great book because it helped me narrow. I was very picky, or at least I thought I was picky. And it helped me narrow down, not just into physical appearance, but into the things that really matter. And so for me, there was, things that were deal breakers, that I wouldn't even waste my time with someone. If someone was a liar or a cheater, that was a deal breaker for me. Like, I was not going to waste my time talking to somebody who was like that. If somebody was abusive, I was not going to waste my time talking to someone like that. If someone, was a drug addict or not responsible, right? So for me, the top three were someone that had to love God above all things, because I knew that if I found someone that loved God above all things, then that person was also going to love me and do right by me, because his priority was not to make me happy, but to make sure he did right by God. And that was the most important thing for me, right? It wasn't so much as he had to be the same religion as me. Well, religion in the sense of Christian, right? But there's many Christian denominations. So for me, it was like, you have to be a Christian that believes in God and believes in Jesus. And then it was, you have to be a responsible person. And then you also, have to be someone that is not abusive, because I was not going to tolerate that. And responsibility covers a lot of different things, right? Someone who's hardworking, someone who, shows up when he's supposed to, someone who is just going to be there for me. So that was pretty much, that was my top. I had to narrow it down. My list was like 50 in length, but I started categorizing these things. What does this fall under? What does that fall under? What does, and then, it came down to that. It came down to a spiritual person, a responsible person, and someone who was not abusive. And I encourage you guys to do the same, right? Because when God made Adam and Eve, he didn't ask them, what do you want? He gave them what they needed. He knew what they needed. He knew that they needed to be with someone that they were going to be attracted to. He knew that they needed to be with someone who was going to complement and help each other. And so he made the design specifically how he wanted them to, how he knew that they needed to be for each other. And I do believe that God confirms, right? There's a lot of people that don't believe that God will confirm your marriage. But again, I truly believe that. And I grew up in a church where people will come up to you and be like, this is the one that God has for you. And I was like, God, don't do that to me. Like, please don't do that to me, because I need you to deal with me directly. I need you to deal with me in the sense that, this is the person that I'm going to marry. So I need to know, I need you to work with my heart, and I need you to deal with me, right? It's a serious thing to get in a relationship and to get married. And I always say that even the marriages that are called by God or that are confirmed by God, if they don't take care of, their marriage, and if they don't put God in the center at all times, they can end up in a divorce, right? Because one of the hardest things in this life is, aside from serving God and having children, is being married. It's not an easy thing. So I encourage you guys, there's a lot of different components, and I'd love to talk about this more, but if you're single, there's a lot of things that go into getting a marriage, and don't wait until, you're married to try to fix those things. Work on yourself. Work on being the best version of you so that when you find that person, you can offer that best version of you. A lot of people say, oh, when I'll get married, I'll change this. But remember that my prayer was, God, if this is the man that you have for me, I don't want to be unfaithful to him by talking to other men. So a lot of times, we're living the single life thinking it's okay because I'm single to talk to 5, 6 different men or women. But really, if you can't control that now, how will you control that in a marriage, right? So there's little things that even before you get to marriage, you really need to work on, so that when you actually do get married, you can, again, give the best version of you to that person. And I heard a preaching one time of Juanita Bynum, and she was at a women's ministry, and she was saying, don't wait for a man to come and take care of you. Don't wait for a man to take you out to dinner so that you can then start doing your hair, or that you can then start doing your nails, or so then you can then start taking care of yourself. Handle that now while you're single, so that when that man comes, he'll find you already done and taken care of, and your beauty and your self-confidence is not going to depend on whether or not that man is there. Until he gets there, take yourself out to dates. Until he gets there, go do your nails. Don't walk around with crusty nails, crusty toes. Fix yourself, right? Fix yourself. Make sure that your hair is done. Make sure you smell good. Make sure your body's moisturized. Take care of you. Make sure you don't got no, plaque or gingivitis going on in your mouth. Go to the dentist. Fix your teeth. Like, take care of you, right? Take care of you, because what's on the inside is going to attract what's on the outside. And if on the inside you feel down and you feel miserable and you feel this, that's the type of person you're going to attract, because misery loves company. So take care of you, right? And I encourage you guys. I hope this is a blessing to you guys. I hope you guys, especially you single women, that you don't, settle for less than what God has in store for you. Put God in the middle of everything, and really learn the character of God and what God wants for your life, so that when you find someone, when that person comes, it'll be a compliment, and you guys can work together to glorify God. Goodbye and God bless. And I hope, again, this has been a blessing to you guys.